meeting. And stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Dr. Swab,
Here.
Mrs. Brewer, Mr. Biesecker,
Here.
Mr. Manuel, Mrs. Hill.
Here.
To welcome everyone here this evening. And to begin, do we have any additions or deletions to our agenda? If we have none, can I have a motion to approve the printed agenda?
So moved.
Thanks, Scott. And I will second. Roll call for approval of the agenda is printed.
Mr. Biesecker,
Here. Yes.
Mrs. Hill,
Yes.
Dr. Swab.
Yes. Next item is approving the minutes as you have listed the April 9th, the April 30th, and the May 7th. A motion to approve the minutes we had prior to the meeting.
So moved.
Scott, second. Any discussion or questions? If none, roll call for approval, please.
Mr. Biesecker,
Yes.
Mrs. Hill,
Yes.
Dr. Swab.
Yes. Now, turn the meeting over to our administrative team for the students' comments.
All right, so this May, we always honor our salutatorian and valedictorians. So we have some of our salutatorian and valedictorians here tonight. Unfortunately, two are not with us. They are at our WOAC track meet. But we are going to start with Miss Elizabeth Skinner. Come on up, please. That's yours. So Miss Skinner here is the daughter of Chad and Candace Skinner while at Bradford. She has been involved in powerlifting, drama club, National Honor Society, student leadership, and volunteering at the Bradford Library. After graduation, she plans to attend Wright State University and major in sports science. So she is our salutatorian this year. Fantastic student and kid, I should say, but young adult, but great to be around. Next is Daphne Lane. Congratulations, Daphne. Daphne is one of our valedictorians this year. Daphne is the daughter of Doug and Deb Levy. At Bradford, she's been involved in marching band, pep and concert band, drama club, cross country, FFA, basketball, Blue Ribbon 4-H, National Honor Society. Daphne plans to attend Cedarville University and major in primary education. Congratulations. The last one that's here is Kaylin Richard. Congratulations, go Reds. All right, Miss Kaylin here is the daughter of Matt Richard and Alicia Plyman. While at Bradford, she's participated in volleyball, student leadership, National Honor Society, and has been the class secretary for all 4 years. After graduation, she plans to attend Bowling Green State University and study speech language pathology. Congratulations. All right, our last two, like I said, are at the WOAC track meet this evening for the prelims. The first is Trail Manuel. Trail's the son of Trey and Michelle Manuel. While at Bradford, he's been involved in basketball, golf, track and field, baseball, class officer, drama club, student publications, and student leadership. After graduation, he plans to attend Ohio Northern and major in civil engineering. And then we have Owen Cannon. Owen is the son of Casey and Kim Cannon. While at Bradford, he's been involved in football, basketball, cross country, golf, baseball, track and field, drama, student publications, National Honor Society, and student leadership group. After graduation, Owen plans to attend Indiana University East, where he plans to study business management and continue to play basketball. So congratulations, Trail and Owen out there. Hopefully you're doing well in track. earlier today, and I'm just amazed at how much these kids are involved in so many things. I don't know how they actually study. So,
Imagine to squeeze in a lot in 24 hours.
they sure do. I don't know when they sleep.
It was great to see so many students make it through and be so successful, and you guys have worked really, really hard in it, and it's great to honor your success. So before we move on with the rest of our meeting, we would pause and give you guys an opportunity to head home for the evening. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you're welcome to head home and get the evening started. As you know, there's so little time. Time is such a commodity.
And your nice little pictures will be out on the marquee in the next month, and probably into June as well.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So we've had a busy month at the high school level. I actually was having people send me information towards the end of the day, actually after I came back in from softball. So there's a few things that I wasn't able to get in there, but we started kind of this month with the FFA State Convention. Had quite a few kids go over this year. This is our largest group that we've taken to the state convention. According to Mrs. Walters, kids were fantastic. They learned a lot. It's just a great experience for our kids. They network with other FFA chapters and just have an overall great time over there. So they did that about 3 weeks ago. We did have prom. Our prom court looked amazing. Our prom king and queen were Miss Kaylin Richards, who was just here, and Trail, who, both two valedictorians and is not here. But prom went over great. After prom was here in the building for the first time in quite some time. That went over very, very well. Kids were fantastic. We've never had an issue with prom or homecoming or anything like that here at Bradford. And, that it says a lot about our kids, for sure. Leading up to prom, the Saturday before, we did hold our mock crash. We do that every other year. Cindy Fair, thank you for organizing this, putting this together. The kids were fantastic. This is one of those situations where it is so lifelike that it freaks you out. And even me watching, seeing these kids, and you get to know them so well, you actually kind of tear up because it is so realistic that it kind of freaks you out a little bit, which is what it's supposed to do. To give the kids a sense of what happens if you do something silly, not only on prom night, but any night for that matter. This is what can happen. And you could hear a pin drop from our students while this was going on. And, what is it? My Premier Care Flight does such an amazing job with this. And then the Bradford Fire Department, the Miami County Sheriff's Department, and Stockton Fraley, they just all kind of do such a great job with this that really it is so lifelike. It's crazy. So kids did great. And hopefully we don't ever have to worry about that being real within this community. We had a Special Olympics last week, held over at Greenville. Had quite a few students go. As you can see here, the thing that I like about this, and Cindy Fair and Sarah Timmerman do this, they get a buddy for each one of the kids to kind of help them get around to their different events and everything. And our kids do such a great job mentoring these people and just being fantastic mentors, and they just spend time with them throughout the course of the day. It's a fantastic run, Olympic style races and everything, and our kids love it. They look forward to it every single year, and they love coming back and showing everybody the ribbon and how well they did. So the ESC does a great job putting this on for all the Dark County schools. Our Mrs. Estes talked me into allowing the kids to go down to see the, since Mr. Hurst laughing. She worked me over pretty good because the Dayton Art Institute is closer, but they've gone there the last 2 or 3 years, and she finally talked me into letting them go to Cincinnati, even though it's a little bit longer of a trip. But she took the biggest group, her Art 3 and 4 students, and she said it was just amazing. She actually had just as many chaperones as she did students, it seemed like. to go. Everybody was well behaved, and they saw a lot of great things. And she makes the kids do a project while they're there, very interactive. But she did tell me that an alarm went off because she got too close to one of the Monet paintings. So she set off an alarm because she was too close to the Monet paintings, which I thought was pretty funny. Had to be the teacher. And then we had, Mrs. Levy will probably talk about Bearsville a little bit. I'm going to talk about it because we had 15 of our high school students go down and help with Mrs. Roberts and Mrs. Fair's fourth grade classes. And, Mrs. Roberts is always so complimentary of how well our kids do, mentoring those students while they're there. The students actually do all of the activities for the kids while they're there. So, which I think is fantastic. Bearsville actually came here last week and kind of walked through what they would like the kids to do while they're there and kind of showed them the ropes per se. And according to Wanda and Brooke, they did a phenomenal job today, which I didn't expect them not to. So,
In fact, they asked our students to come back
yes,
from last
actually,
year.
yeah, last year it rained and they couldn't get some of their own people to come. So we sent our kids and they did so well that they asked our kids to come back. And, that's something that we will definitely do in the future going forward.
And thanks to Dark County Park Districts, because they're the ones that pay for the whole thing, the busing and everything else for them to go over and learn about Dark County history and just history in general.
And that's all I have right now.
We've had a lot of excitement going on at the elementary. We had the elementary art show last week. As you can see, they had the Mona Lisa set up where they could actually pose. They had it down in the junior high school, or junior high wing. Everything was set up for the art show. And I liked how that was more of an intimate setting than the front hallway. And it was nice when Grandparents' Day came then because that followed right after. So, all grade levels, beginning garden through fifth grade, had artwork, some ceramic pieces that they made. And like I said, Mrs. Johnson always does a great job with the art show. Also, we've been going to the downtown library visits. They also had their open house to get kids to come. We had a lot of sporting events going on that evening, so not a lot of kiddos could come, but the ones that did get to make it down to the public library, summer reading program kickoff, had a great time. This is during the school day where we also have the kids go down and they get to visit the library. So this is the fifth grade visiting to learn about the Color Our World, which is a theme. And then after that, they got to go do an escape room, and Stacy always does a great job with the escape rooms that they get to do. We have several more classes that still have to go take that field trip. This is my pictures that my teachers got for me from the Special Olympics. Mrs. Schmitz and Mrs. Hart went this school year to take the kiddos, and as you can see, they got to spend time with some of their close friends, and the same thing goes on with my elementary students. They get to pick a friend to go with them. Had a lot of good races. This is Dakota running the 100, and he did a really nice job. He's in the MD classroom. Like I said, it's just a great time for the kids, and I had a beautiful day for it this year. This is what the fifth grade field trip was this year, is they went to the skating rink, and they learned how force and motion work together. And so at the 36 skating rink, they have a field trip where they discuss that, and then they get to go out and practice roller skating. It was the first time any of the students that went there. They were very impressed with how they had it all set up and had a great time. They also went to the Downtown Railroad Museum. It's shocking how many kids and parents have never been to the Railroad Museum. But they got to go tour that, and they opened it up specifically for them, and they took donations for the Railroad Museum. We just finished up Grandparents' Day last Friday, and boy, do we have a turnout. We had over 300 grandparents here on that day. We had 326 grandparents that came on last Friday. And Wanda Roberts, I want to commend her for what she did for Grandparents' Day. She had all the stations set up. Thanks to Mr. Barr, he allowed the high school students come to help man some of them. We had it in the big gym, the little gym, the hallway. We had the art show set up. They got to make a little fish snack with little, the little goldfish fish. And so
and then they got their picture taken as well, and it was really neat. I thought one of my favorite things was they had games set up in the library. And so it was neat to see grandparents playing memory games, and some of those grandparents just happened to lose. I'm not sure that they actually did, but you know, grandparents want their grandkids to be so happy, and so I'll be doing the same thing here soon. But they did, it was amazing. The Earth Festival, our school went to Lost Creek yesterday. Second grade and kindergarten went, and today first and third went. Learned a lot about falcons and owls. I didn't realize, and maybe my dad hunted rabbits, but I didn't realize you could actually take a falcon out or a hawk, and they actually can work as your animal to help you. You jump up the animal like a rabbit, and they go and get it. So it's like a twist on what my dad did, which was the animal, you know, the dogs would jump them up, and then he would take care of the rest of it. But this was a totally different way of doing things. They had a beautiful day yesterday, today. They got lucky and it didn't rain on them, and they had an amazing time. And Miami County Park District has this every year. The Banana Sled Festival comes from California. They've been doing this since I taught kindergarten, and so it's kind of a neat experience for all the kiddos to do. And it's also provided and paid for through the Miami County Park District. Here's my bears, no pictures, a lot like what Mr. Barr had. Same thing, again, they have a great time. They learn a lot of different crafts and get to step back in time, and that's what Bears Mill is all about. All right, I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Daugherty.
So I wanted to present some data about our beginning garden program. We've been doing it for 7 years. 8 years.
It's great.
8 years beginning garden. So there's gonna be a lot of text on here. I highly recommend you go back and read it. We're gonna go through it pretty quickly. But all this data comes from the cadence test. It's given 3 times a year. It's tested one-on-one with our teachers who are trained to do it. So the first area we're gonna look at is first sound fluency, or basically the first sound in a word, like for cat or for math. As you can see, our students make growth, but I'm kind of a apples to apples type of person, so I actually put down here. So at the beginning of the year when they took the test, the kindergartners scored, or beginner gardeners scored a 3. In the middle of the year, they scored a 27. Compare that to Mrs. Fry's, whose kids came in at a 12 at the beginning of the year, Mrs. Ridout's, whose kids came in at a 10. That shows you that our beginner garden kids were able to, when they come in next year, should be at a higher level than the other two. So that shows you that the beginning garden is actually working and is teaching those skills to those kids. Next slide, please. Letter naming fluency, just basically naming the letters. As you can see, we've had quite a bit of growth in this. Once again, the class average. Mrs. Clark's kids came in with a 5. Beginning of the year, at the end of the year, they had a 31. And Mrs. Fry's kids at the beginning of the year had a 17, and Mrs. Ridout's had a 15. So once again, our kids in beginner garden, when they're kids in kindergarten, they're going to be ahead of the game. Nonsense words.
Bob, I have one question.
Yes.
For the kindergarten kids that you've tested, were they, any of those beginner gardens?
Some of them were from beginner garden last year.
Is there any way to see, did they lose some of the stuff that they got and that's why they're lower? Or do we have more people that came without it?
So you're, okay, could you repeat
My
that?
question is that, so your if I'm understanding it correctly, those are your beginner garden starting and ending scores? And
Yes.
then the kindergarten starting scores?
Yes.
Of the kindergarten kids that are in that cohort of kids, how many of those were beginner garden the year before?
Or how much did they lose?
Did they lose in the summer? Is
I
that why it's lower, or are those just kids who didn't have the opportunity?
think they're kids who didn't have the opportunity, or kids who came in from preschool and maybe didn't have those skills. We
That's
did
really
look.
great.
We did look briefly at how some of those kindergarten kids scored from last year. Mrs. Sink, by the way, give her the credit. She's the one that made up the slides. But me and her were looking, and she was naming the kids. And those beginner garden kids may have lost, but they were still scoring higher than the kids that were coming in.
It'd be interesting to see the data from the
Yeah,
kids
I
that are in kindergarten.
Yeah, I'd be
And then
more
the
than
kids
happy to.
that didn't have that
Yeah,
as they entered into kindergarten, because that may skew your numbers.
yeah, that is gonna skew the numbers, and
It may be more impressive
Yeah.
if you, based on the number of kids.
And actually, talking about skewing numbers, I was also thinking about this one, where we have this kid who scored really well, compared to the rest of them.
Outside the norm, too many standard deviations away.
Yeah. But that just shows you the amount of work that Mrs. Clark does to get these kids prepared. Next slide. So nonsense words, these are words that just don't have, and the purpose behind nonsense words is the kid can memorize the word cat. We want to see if they can actually sound out the words. So once again, 6 going in the middle of the year, this is tested in the middle of the year and the end of the year. 6 going in the middle of the year, 31 coming out at the end of the year, and once again, higher than the Mrs. Friday and Mrs. Riddle's class from the middle of the year. So, there's another slide. I think there might be one more. And then the last one's filming segmentation. Once again, you can see how well they did. And class average, Mrs. Clark, 18 at the middle of the year, 38 at the end of the year. And then Mrs. Fry and Mrs. Riddell, 35 and 37. And this is by far the most complicated at this point. I mean, I've seen tremendous amount of growth in the kids throughout the years. As they come into the kindergarten, I sometimes step in the class and see what they're doing and how they come out. And since this is her last school board meeting, I think that this is a legacy of Mrs. Levy who pushed for this program. It's shocking when I did kindergarten screening, the amount of kids who don't go to preschool. And we were able to encourage them to go into kindergarten. And this was really the first time where I had a lot of parents, when I had to talk saying, hey, your kid qualifies for this program to kindergarten, that they were like, no, I wanted my kid to be kindergarten. This is, we had some open enrollments who came here because we have this program. So I think this is great for our district. I think it shows that it's working. So
I have to also say that we have 2 teachers that are dyslexic trained, and they've learned how to use signs to go with the letters and sounds. I've seen a huge improvement for kiddos that come into beginning garden and kindergarten where they may have a speech issue, and when they come in and they use those movements, they're able to better give the sounds. And so they also did visual phonics, and those pieces together, I think, will make immense difference in all of those kiddos that come in just with a little bit of a speech problem to better clearly speak and know those sounds, to show the people that they know the sounds. So I'm excited to see what the future holds.
What are the numbers for beginning garden for next school year and
So we can have up to 12. I don't
12?
know if we have 12. I might have to look at the list. It's close. I know when we left screening, we were a little bit below 12. So I was a little worried because the first group of kids that we screened had a lot of kids in the kindergarten, and I thought we were going to have to move some out into regular kindergarten because we cap it at 12. So it keeps the number smaller, which makes more personalized. But some of our kids are coming to the kindergarten, can't identify any letters.
And they don't know how to do school either. So
Yeah.
it's not even just they don't know the letters, they don't have school. They
Yeah.
just come in and there's a lot of social stuff.
Just getting them to sit still or sit down in a seat. And I will be honest, I've been in there. Mrs. Clark has a lot more patience than I ever could with the way she deals with some of those kids. In fact, I quit going in there because every time I go in there, they just focus on me.
Like squirrel.
Yeah, and I thought I was probably doing more damage by going in there than not, but it is an exciting program. I'm glad that we have it, and I'm glad that we can show that it is working. So does anybody have any other questions?
If I could add to what you're saying, my first year, the kindergarten group is now, that were beginning gardeners are Sunny Peoples and Amelia Minnick, and I can remember the kids from beginning garden who I had, and then had them again in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and those are some of the higher performing students in that class. It seems like every year that tends to be the case, or at the very least, they do have a leg up than their classmates.
So we thank you for allowing that program.
Well, it sure looks like the data supports your success.
Yeah, so we're excited.
Thanks for putting it together.
Bye.
Well, Jamie. did.
Yeah. Okay, next slide. Upcoming events. You can see here, most of this, Mr. Barr has to go to, so glad that it's him and not me. I do want to point out that on May 16th, this Friday, we will have our distinguished alumni. We are inducting 3 distinguished alumni. They are Michael Moore, Jim Ashley, and Valerie Sargent Wood. So we're looking forward to that. Since Mr. Cannon is here, point out the band concert is May 21st. And then, of course, we're getting to the end of the year where we have senior breakfast on the 22nd, graduation on the 23rd, and the moment that all the kids are working for the end of the year, awards for elementary and kindergarten graduation on the 29th.
Correction, senior breakfast is the 23rd and graduation is the 24th.
Okay,
Oh, sorry.
I'll be here.
I didn't put.
I know I did. It's my mistake.
Next slide, please. Athletic schedule, we're wrapping up. Senior night was tonight for softball. Tracks at WOAC today and on Thursday. Softball on the 15th at Milton, 16th at Jackson Center. Sectionals on the 19th. Districts for track are the 20th and 24th. Baseball will have their sectional on the 22nd. And then our senior night for track and field, we had a great day for that. To honor our seniors, Avery Hellman, Megan Wood, Emma Levy. There's more on the next slide. Steven Stewart, Griffin Torino, Zay Charlman, Trail Manuel, John Troxel, and Owen Cannon. It was exciting to see that many seniors out for track. I can remember when I started back here 25 years ago, I had 4 girls and I think like 6 or 7 boys total for the track team. So it's nice to see the numbers. And we had our first big meet on Saturday, the WOAC meet. I'll be honest, I was really stressing out last week. A big shout out to Theo, the AD over at Purple Shawnee, who came and basically ran our meet, which was really nice. It couldn't have had better weather for track, and we couldn't have had a better meet. Chloe mentioned that she was complimented several times about how smooth our meet was. I've been doing track and field for a while. We started at 10. I was home a little after 2. So for a 4-hour meet, for that big of a meet, was pretty impressive. Everything pretty much ran smoothly. We've got the WOAC for high school next year. I feel a lot more confident about that than I did this one. So I learned a lot. We learned a lot up in the press box. We learned a lot, doing this. The kids did a great job. They ran really hard. And on the next slide, we have a WOAC champion, Jackson Felber, who placed second in the 100. He won the 200 and the 400, and he will actually run at the junior high state meet. He qualified in the 2 and the 4. So, yeah. Yeah, we had so many records broken at that meet. I mean, people are going to want to keep coming back to Bradford because they were great. I mean, records were falling like rain. I mean, it was great. So it was a great day. I think that might be my last slide.
It is. And I want to throw in there, I actually was out of state for the meet. This is the first home meet I've missed. But I was getting emails in Kentucky from people that were at the meet that had never been to our facility before, recognizing how nice it is out here. So know that people are noticing how nice the facilities are becoming and how good they are out there. So even really that things will run very well, smoothly and quick.
I heard more compliments about our press box from the coaches that went up there, knowing what they had to go back home to. So.
That's great, thanks.
That's what
I
And
want to compliment Bob for the simple fact that he kept the track alive in the school building, in our district. And some very thin years.
Yeah.
If I can remember well.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, Bob did a great job working with kids and trying to get their interest out there. And look what we've done today.
Thank you.
That's great. So next would be update from Mr. Hurst.
Sure. I have a short report today. I know that there's a lot on the agenda we need to get to. Wanted to just give you an update on the Head Start restroom project. It is done. And I say done with an asterisk. There is a heater and a vent that we need to put in, but that can wait until next season, the summer to do, because it's something they'll have to bust through the roof and all that sort of thing. And we hope it goes on next grant cycle, which means it'll be paid in part with that. Actually, that part would be paid in full through the grant cycle. But the Head Start classroom is actually this is the second week that they've been back in the classroom with the bathroom. Heard lots and lots of compliments. There were a few growing pains right there at the very beginning, or adjustments. Toilet paper holder was perfect for adults, but little kids couldn't reach it. So those type of things we found had to be changed just a little bit. But overall, absolutely amazing and a great addition here with the help of some grants from the Head Start program. That is all I have for my report this evening.
Any questions for Joe? Next, Carl.
Okay, I wanted to share with you that I went to the EPC meeting today and we did get our health insurance renewals for the next year, which I have put on the board agenda tonight for your approval. We had a 6% increase this year, which, as unfortunate as it is very good compared to the last few years, and very good to what I think is the norm right now. We are still running a fairly significant loss ratio with our program, but it is working very well to be in a consortium where we don't have those drastic changes. So it's a very positive thing for us. The one thing that I wanted to talk to you about a little bit is the 5-year forecast. And I'm going to dwell less on the numbers, and if you'd like to go to the next page, I'm going to talk a little bit about this. As you can see, one of the things this document is the guide to keep us out of trouble, so we know when we're going to look for things to be a problem. And you'll see that the revenue on this slide is really that purple bluish cast. And I have not projected increases, and I'll tell you about that. It's some of the legislative things that we're dealing with. And naturally, we have got some dramatic increases in some of our situations with expenditures because we've had some increases, but I'm trying to take a lot of the capital improvements out of other funds and trying to keep it intact for just our disposable items such as wages and fringes. But you'll see that we take a dramatic dip with the green line. And one of the problems that we're into as we look through this, we've got this House Bill 96, and Mr. Hurst has talked about this a little bit. It's presently in the House. It's being deliberated in the Senate. They are talking about the spare school funding plan that we have had in place for the last few years and has finally brought some regularity to our funding with a consistent increase. They are talking about not totally funding it. It has not been funded fully yet, and now they're talking about diminishing our funding. So that's making it quite difficult to know where we're going to be, and they're going to be doing some major decision-making by June 30th of this year. One of the things that bothers me the most is they're talking about limiting how much of a cash balance that we can have here in the district to 30% of the prior year's expenditures. That's a problem for us because we've been able to build up some revenues in anticipation of some of the things that we wanted to do, not by real estate taxes, but by other methods of funding. We've just been able to find grants, we've been able to find things that have been a real boost to the finances in the district. And so their purpose here was to try to take a school district who has a cash balance that is healthy, which was what I thought we were striving for, and give those monies back to the taxpayers. So that's their crux, that's their decision making. Our money did not come from taxes. That's not where this has happened. So we're kind of caught in a catch-22 with it. But it's a complex situation unless you know a lot about the way the county budget commission works. But they're going to be able to look and just say, your balance is too high for what we're looking at, and we are going to rebate money back to the taxpayers, and they will lower it for the subsequent period. So it's been a huge debate over there, and a lot of the people in schools have been going over there to talk and try to explain to them that at the end of our year, we still have 5 pays that we have to make to our staff that's accumulated, and we still have to make sure there's dollars to pay that. So I did a calculation in our case, and that's around 20% of our carryover just goes to known commitments at the end of the year. And then our encumbrances that we haven't paid is close to another 22%. So 42% of our budget at the end of the year is actually committed. So we're trying to explain that to the legislature, and it just hasn't been a successful situation at this point, wouldn't you say?
Fair statement, fair
So
statement.
they're not carving out money that already has been allocated.
Encumbered.
Right.
Yeah, they are not looking at any obligations we have. They're looking strictly at our cash balance, and that's causing us to do some things that we normally wouldn't. We're transferring some money out for capital improvements, so we're not going to pay capital improvements out of the general fund. We're going to move it to a capital fund and then pay it out of the capital fund, because we have to accumulate those dollars for future projects, because you can't just sit here now and say, oh, I've got $500,000 worth of projects, I have to pay all that out because the work has to be completed.
Right.
So so we're working around it, but it's still a very difficult situation because it just flies in the face of everything we're trying to do as far as being fiscally wise. And so I just wanted to make you aware of that as we talk about things. The information, I gave this to you earlier to get an idea, hasn't changed a lot. This is an update forecast. This isn't a new forecast. We talked about this back in November. And other than having the agreement signed, there's not a lot of changes to this, except for trying to supplement capital funds and the situation with the taking care of the wage increase that came about from the agreement. So I'm not going to dwell on this. As you can see, we've done well in the past. I'm hopeful that we can continue to do well. Our school district income tax grew 6.6% this year. That's a positive. And statewide, it's been growing. And so we're in line with what the state's doing. But the property tax consideration is a grave concern. I think as we go through this, we're going to try to figure out other ways to keep our funding going. The interest rates have garnered us a fair amount of dollars, but our grants are not as viable as they were. A lot of the federal money is, I'm not going to say it's drying up, but it's harder to come by than it was. And I hope that that's a temporary situation and we can get back into the funding cycle. And that's one of the things that's on the board agenda tonight. It's a COPS grant, but it's to help with some of the things we need to do in this district for the protection of the children and the staff here. So that'll be forthcoming. There's, as I said, lots of graphs in here. I'm already past my 3 minutes that I was allocated tonight.
Where's that timer?
So I do want the ending cash balance. You'll see that there in fiscal year 29, I'm projecting a deficit. And I try to be very actual with the figures that I have before me. And the whole goal here is if we start to see a deficit, we react to it in time that we never have a deficit. So even though you see that, that's upon us to make sure that never happens. So we've got the fringe benefit cost, which is the fastest area growing of the budget. And hopefully this projected a 12% increase on our health insurance. We're only at 6%, but that's only a small component of the overall factors. But the fringe benefit cost has been rather great over the last few years. And I think we're not going to see a lot of changes on the property taxes until mid-October. I think this is going to be a waiting game, even though they'll pass some legislation. We won't know the impacts of that legislation right away because you won't be able to unravel what all has happened. But once again, I said we have the agreement that's in this forecast. We have a biennium budget that goes for 2 years. The legislature only wants us to project out 3 years, which quite honestly, even though we can't project well, it still gives us a trend line. And I think that everything I'm seeing is the opposite of what we should be looking at as far as fiscal responsibility. So I'm bitterly opposed to what I'm seeing in the legislature, and just wanted to share all this with you. I think we're doing very well. I think we've been able to maintain some very positive things here, but we want to keep that going. And this was a guide to do that. And since I sent it to you, did anyone have any questions or anything that they felt any particular need to have addressed as far as a question? As I said, it's very similar to what we had in November, except some updated changes. Well, if there are no questions, I think that in the interest of time, I conclude my report.
Thanks, Charlie. We appreciate all the time and effort you put in to get that ready for us. And so is there anything relative to the legislative actions that us as citizens should be able or to let our concerns known? Is there access?
Well,
is there a process?
Actually, what was interesting today, when I go to the EPC meeting, I don't just go to get that information. I talked to some people that have been dealing with the legislative process and talking to them. I guess what they're hearing is when the treasurers go and speak, it's falling on deaf ears because they think we have too close an interest and that we're not truly concerned about the process. We're not concerned about the taxpayer. That is absolutely not true. You have to care about the taxpayer, but they're not seeing that. So there are some ways they're suggesting we get some letters together, but I don't think it does a lot of good. I mean, we could put some very succinct letters together, but just to have a blanket letter that everybody signs and sends out, somehow to me, that is, if I'm a legislator, I'm going to look at that and not really pay much attention to it. But the process is going on now. If you would like some facts, and I will be glad to send those out to you, some just basic facts that undermines what we're doing here in the school district, I would be glad to share that with you and share some names of people that could be contacted.
I think that would be good, because I think in general, our legislators are probably trying to do the best, and nothing's worse than trying to do the best and not have great information. So I think, our duties really as taxpayers would be to try to articulate that position and understanding from the boots on the ground so that they can make proper decisions. and have the right information to make good choices for us.
Well, and it has to be real, it has to be understandable. And what I'm hearing some people say, when I hear them, I think, if I'm a legislator, I'm not going to pay any attention to that. I need to know why do you have this money at the end of the year? Why shouldn't that be back in the taxpayer's pocket? And I think we have to make convincing arguments that way, and there are ways to do that. We're kind of an anomaly because we are the only organization that I know of that has people work 9 months out of the year and then continues to pay them over a period of time. You don't see that anywhere else. So they don't understand that we have to have funds to do that. And they're picking a point in time that is not realistic in the flow of money. So,
They don't understand the process probably well enough to help guide it
yeah.
and make rules regarding something they may need a little more information about.
So
So
I
probably
would,
you can help us to get that or connect with our legislators, I think is probably helpful.
okay.
I don't know if it's putting something on our website or something that will help us be able to access to know who to reach out to voice our concerns.
Well, we will talk about it and see
Yeah, some way that you guys can
how
help
the
us.
best way to convey that would be.
Yeah, to help us find the right communication venue.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is public participation. So kind of layout, we have public participation and there's guidelines, which is established by our board policy. And so it's in place to allow interested public participation, reference to items of school activities and functions, but not able to talk on certain things such as ongoing investigations or naming of specific individuals. Speakers given 3 minutes by board policy. And I think Corey had asked to have some time to speak, so we can get that started. And when you're ready, Joe will get things started and you can, again, it's always great to have information. Just as we talked about for our legislators, it's great to have information that we need to make good decisions.
For each? Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Swab, for giving me time to speak today. Like you said, having all the information I think is very important, and I've tried to narrow this down to as close to 3 minutes as I got. So, I had one, Holly, for all 5, but we have extras. But I believe they have the information already. My intent is to bring to the attention of the board some inadequacies in supplemental pay. And that's something that you may not notice unless you were specifically looking for it in our contract. I've spoken with Brian Schultze several times, expressed my frustration and disappointment and the lack of attention that was paid to supplementals and the most recent negotiations. And I believe 2 years ago, I first spoke to Mr. Hurst regarding the supplemental pay that was for the band director position. And that is a $3,600 supplemental, but I showed him basically the spreadsheet that you have now. I've just recently updated it to the most accurate contracts that the schools have. But I showed him all of this, basically giving evidence that the band director supplemental is significantly less than what it needs to be given the amount of time that is put in. And after talking to Mr. Hurst, I was told that with an administrative meeting, that they recommended we wait until negotiations to approach that idea, which was fine, and I understood that. And then negotiations came and went, and nothing changed. Nothing changed in that supplemental. I asked that the supplemental go from 3,600 to 5,400, which is the average of what my colleagues in the surrounding 15 schools make. And that's just the average when you don't, I didn't factor in extended days. So many of the directors have extended days added into their calendar that are paid out per diem. Ms. Son-in-law and Sonia, Arcanum, Tri-Village, Versailles, I'm pretty sure those all have extended days added into that above and beyond the supplemental. It was pointed out that that change in my supplemental would be the highest paid supplemental, would go from 12% to 18%, which is a 6% raise. But that's only because our supplementals are and I'm trying to be as frank as possible because I only have a limited amount of time, embarrassing. I think, full disclosure, that our supplementals are embarrassing for someone who would look and see at taking an athletic supplemental position, or a teacher looking at taking an academic supplemental position. It is definitely a dark spot as far as that goes. I asked for an $800 supplemental to be included for a summer assistant, which is absolutely necessary based on all of my years doing it. I've worked with countless numbers of schools in that position as assistant marching band director, as percussion instructor, and I was told that answer was no, and based off of that, they didn't think it was warranted. I'm not sure what expert decision-making went into that, but as you can see on the other paper that I gave you, that all of that just between marching band and pipe band, that's not factoring in other things, so ensemble honors bands, and there are more. It's over 250 plus hours, or around 37 days. Every school, with the exception of one on there, has a supplemental for a position, or a position for a supplemental for an assistant. I had great visions for this program when I came to Bradford, and 3 years ago, I came with Sarah Beckstead to discuss everything that the school, or that the band was doing to highlight that for the board. And so you guys can see everything that we went above and beyond to do. And Dr. Swab, I believe that time you commented and said that that was your hope when I took the position, and that was my goal all along. We have done more in the last 3 years than any director in recent memory. All of these extra activities reflect positively on the band program, reflect positively on the district, the school, I do the best I can, as any of my fellow directors do. I just would like to be compensated fairly, just like any other director, and that's currently not happening. I'd love to add a color guard. We have students that are interested. They have come to me on multiple occasions and asked to have a color guard, but there's no money and no one's going to do it for free. I would love to do it, but I can't do it in the amount of time that I'm already giving and don't have any help as it is that I could do. And summer assistants are great help for up and coming music educators.
Corey, could you just wrap it up a little bit?
Yes,
Our
I
time
am.
had passed a little bit ago, but I
I'll
didn't
go
want
right
to
to this.
disrespect your opportunity.
Thank you for giving me one last point here, and I'll just skip ahead to it. I went as far back as I could find on the website, and that was the 2000-2003 contract. And then the band director supplemental was $3,400. So in 25 years, it's changed virtually not at all. There was a $1,700 assistant supplemental, and there was a $700 supplemental for guard. Both of those were taken off in the 2019 to 2022 contract, but they were there for 19 years. I just asked that we look at these numbers and come up with something that is, I don't want to, I need to, I apologize, I need to prioritize my time for just health in general, but work-life balance, and I don't want to have to take things out of what the kids are doing because of this. I don't want to do that, but at some point, decisions have to be made on my part, so it's understood how important it is anywhere else.
Thanks,
That's all I
Corey.
have.
I appreciate that. The board and administration will take your information into consideration. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda this evening is the financial reports from the treasurer. Carla, could you give us a high-level overview on what you'd like us to approve this evening?
Yes. Number 1, 2, and 3 are typical items that occur every month. Number 4 is an expanded amount that is concerned with the payback on just some of the grants that have been coming through the district, and it's more or less of a cleanup. Have the appropriations, donations that are in here, Miami County Foundation, the 5-year forecast that we discussed earlier, the change to the legal level of appropriation, which will essentially look the same, and then the application for the School Violence Protection Program grant for a maximum federal share of up to $500,000.
Thank you. Any questions? I have a motion to approve the presented items.
So moved.
Thanks, Holly. I will second. Any specific questions for Carla? If none, then a roll call for approval, please.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mrs. Hill,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes. We have no old business this evening. We have several pages of new business. And Mr. Hurst, if you could give us a high-level overview of what you would like us to approve this evening.
This is a long list, so I'll try to be as brief as I can. First, we've got a lot of resignations and employment, more employment obviously than resignations. Mr. Barr, I don't know if you'd like to introduce anybody before we move on.
I think we introduced him to everyone prior to, but Dylan McCullough is here. You will be voting on him to be our new head basketball coach. We're excited. Obviously some youth here, but also quite a bit of experience as well. So, you know, I think he's going to do a fantastic job with our young men and build a very solid program. So we're excited to have him here. I'm glad he could make it. And I hope he is as excited as we are to be a Bradford Railroader.
Definitely. I definitely am.
I agree. Thank you.
I'm going to jump down to number 2. The Gerber Life Insurance policy is a policy to help all of our families K-12, pre-K-12, if there's any accidents or whatever here on the school grounds. Number 3 is a contract with Westward to help out with Medicare and be our advocate with that. Number 4 is the purchase of a refrigerated merchandiser out of a grant for the cafeteria. Basically a little pop cooler that serves, a refrigerated cooler that looks like a pop cooler. It's not a pop cooler. The next one is a resolution to purchase buses if we so desire. It does not tie us to this, but this allows us to participate in the EPC bidding process. Number 6 is for summer school for the elementary. Number 7 is the Jump Start program for our incoming kindergarten kids on July 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st. Number 8 is a contract to have a school resource officer here. Number 9, we want to recognize Cheryl Clark for earning a Healthy Meals Incentives Recognition Award. And this is for all the cool stuff they're doing down in the kitchen, doing different taste tests, getting back feedback from the kids, those type of things. But she has earned now a trip out to Las Vegas on them. Number 10, we've got a very sizable contract with the Dark County ESC for many, many programs. Number 11 is a 10-hour day, the 4 10s that we will be working in the summer for all 260 employees and 5-month employees as well. Or I'm sorry, 11 and 12-month employees. Number 12, personal leave incentive. Number 13 is a perfect attendance incentive, which actually, it's called that, but it's actually dealing with sick leave. Number 14 is a replacement of 6 desktops and 6 laptops that are aged out. Number 15 is a great program for our kids and families. Cheryl Clark has worked very hard on this. Carla's worked very hard on this, getting qualifications met so we can actually next year give free breakfast and free lunch to every student in our building. So that will be a huge difference. Number 16, we've got some overnight trips coming up. And if you have questions, we've got an expert over here. Number 17, the old contract, that's typical. Number 18, this is so we can have our Head Start program in the building. Number 19 is our EPC liability insurance project. Number 20 and 21 are for the greenhouse, so we can have plans made up and then start advertising for bids. Number 22 is a starter greenhouse. Since the other one isn't built quite as quick as we wanted it to, there's money in another grant to buy a starter greenhouse to get things rolling, get those plants acclimated and started before the big one's finished up. 23 is a tuition reimbursement as of 24. 25 is a calibration of some equipment here. 26 is, again, the EPC. This is for the health insurance for our employees, and that is it.
May I have a motion to approve the items presented? And I can second. Discussions or questions? You wrapped a lot up in that.
That was a lot,
Several
sorry.
pages. If there are questions, I will roll call for approval.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mrs. Hill,
Yes.
Dr. Swab.
Yes. Next item is a motion to enter an executive session for item G1 listed on our agenda.
So moved.
Yeah,
Second.
Thanks, Scott. And a roll call for executive session.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mrs. Hill,
Yes.
Dr. Swab.
Yes, and there'll be no actions taken after the end of the executive session. Thanks, everyone. Welcome to our district.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And
I'm taking notes for you, Carlos.
roll call for adjournment. Oh, motion to adjourn. I motion. Second?
I'll second.
Thanks. Roll call.
Scott.
Call.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mrs. Hill,
Yes.
Dr. Swab.
Yes. We stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for your time.
29.
8:29.